Hi everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters. Today we're going to be doing kind of an unusual kit. This is a brand new kit from Takom. It's called the Raumer, and it's, believe it or not, it is a real vehicle. They actually captured one at the end of the war. It's a huge vehicle too. It was designed by the Germans to be a mine rolling machine that was just so massive that the vehicle wouldn't even be flinched by running over landmines. So it's like I said, it's a beast of a vehicle. I'm really looking forward to it. I may have even mentioned to you in times past that I wanted to do this because we're going to use the red oxide primer on part of it. We'll do it half camouflage, half red oxide primer, like it was still coming out of the factory new. So like I said, it's going to be a beast of a vehicle. It doesn't look like the part count is too high, so we should be able to knock it out pretty quickly and get right to the painting. And like I said, I've been waiting for a couple months now to do this, so I'm kind of excited. So let's get started on it. Thought I would just go over the sprues with you real fast. This is the main chassis, which there's duplicates of all of the sprues I'm about to show you. These are the pads for the wheels themselves, and of course the giant wheels that go on this vehicle. And lastly, just some of the external parts, some of the bracing, some of the wheel hubs, things like that. We're going to start building the one side of the superstructure, and this kit works out to be a great kit for doing a video build on, for the one reason that you have two complete sets of things to work on. So I was able to go in and really check out everything and see how everything fits before we actually start doing it on camera, which I like to do. That way if I can tell you if I had a problem putting anything together. And I have to admit, I did one side of this already and actually built it up and glued it, which I have right here. And I have to admit that this kit went together absolutely wonderfully. I had no problems with fit at all, other than the slightest little minor amount of area right here. Just couldn't get that little last part to fill in, but a little putty is going to immediately take care of that. So, but went together really fast. Only took about an hour and a half to do this one side. So it's very simple to put together. So what I'll just kind of show you now is just the basic parts going on. Just keep in mind, I went and cut all the parts off early, and then we sanded them, because there's lots of little micro sanding you want to take care of, you know, putting on these vents and things like that. Nothing difficult, but you just want to make sure that you have everything ready to go all at once, and then you can really knock this out in a hurry. And I won't bore you too long with this portion of the build, just mainly showing you the different parts going on. Some of these little things right here. And even this portion in here, this is all molded as one big giant piece, and this, once you have it sanded, just pops right into place. This one actually looks like it's a little tighter fit than the other one, so we might not have a problem with the front end on that. And the way the kit is designed, you basically get two complete sets of sprues to do both of these pieces, because you can see how large this is going to be. Pull it back from the camera. So it's well over 18 inches long with the parts in the middle, and just really, really cool looking. Looks very sci-fi, I think. But what I'll do now is, rather than bore you with all this portion, I'm just going to go ahead and glue the rest of the parts onto this, get it all ready to go, and then we'll show you how the hydraulic system underneath works and how that goes together. Okay, as you saw me just a little while ago starting to work on these hydraulics, we've let them dry up now and we've done some sanding on it to get them ready. So we're going to start building up the hydraulic rams. And the reason this has this on here too is it's kind of unusual. The real vehicle did not have front steering, so it couldn't turn either direction. It actually just used these hydraulics to just force the vehicle to turn one side to the other. So you got to assemble these on the bottom. And it's pretty straightforward. And then it's just going to lock in. It's going to get glued into here. Oops, upside down. And then finally, this piece will mate into this side, and then we can glue the whole thing into the bottom of the other side of the vehicle, whereas this side has just this portion of the ram. So I'll show you how that all goes together once we glue it up. Okay, we're going to start assembling the rest of the hydraulic ram. And one thing I'll point out to you too, it doesn't say it in the instructions, but make sure that when you're attaching this top and bottom plate that you leave these free floating. Because if you glue those in, you're not going to be able to get them to line up with the next part. Now, it shows it in the instructions going together like this, but my suggestion to you is to flip the entire thing over, because it'll be just much easier to work on trying to get these pins through so they aren't constantly falling apart. It's one of those situations that having a third hand would really work out really well. But if you flip it upside down, you can get those pieces to line up in there, and you can see how the hydraulics will work now on that. And then once that is in place, then go ahead and glue these outer pieces on that lock everything together. Because if you try doing it the way the instructions say, I was fumbling around with it for about 10 minutes trying to get it to line up camera angle wise, and I found out, yeah, just flip it over and it'll work just as well. And then the final piece will go on, will be the last little cap, and you've got your working hydraulics ready to go. Okay, now that both sides are completed, this portion of the ram is bolted into place right here, and this portion that we just built is just going to drop right in, and actually fits so well it clicks into place. Then the whole way you're going to mate the two together is just by that one little glue point. So what I would probably do if I were you would recommend is before you glue this last portion, these two together, make sure you have the wheels and all that stuff on and you're ready to actually put it together on a flat surface, because I think that would be very easy to snap off since it's such a small connection point if you're just picking it up by one end. So just don't glue that yet, put all the wheels on, then we'll actually paint it as two separate pieces and then worry about gluing it together once we've got it all built up. Almost forgot to show you as well too that once we will have it together, you can see how the vehicle will turn just like that. I'm just going to quickly go over with you guys the actual wheel assembly. There, believe it or not, you actually build two different types of wheel, because there is a front and back wheel. And I just started putting these together. A lot of sanding because there's a two connection points on every one of those wheels. Go together pretty simply. You just got to remember to put the pin in there. There's some little micro pins that will line up inside, and then once you find out where they are, there it is right there. Then the wheels kind of just click into place, and you're going to glue that up, and then we'll sand this down even more with this in place. Now the pads I'm going to leave off because there is a rubber pad that covers up all of this stuff, but we're going to leave those off because they're black and we're going to paint them individually. I think it'll just be easier to glue them on afterward. So it's very simple, and then after you have that, you have the suspension sides, which, not even suspension I should say, the actual axles, and there's a short and long one on that, and the long one goes for the long wheel and the short one goes up for that. And that's just so that when the wheels are going over, they basically will do this. So it's covering double the amount of area for making mines explode. So if they were even like that, you just have that one path, but this way with the front and back, that's the kind of thing it'll do for it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up all the wheels and we'll put those on and I'll show you what the whole vehicle looks like put together. Okay, just the final assembly for these lack of a better word, axles. Just keep in mind the one that just has the one hydraulic ram on this side gets the shorter portions of the wheels as we glue that in, and then the longer sides will go on the one that has the workable ram. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those on, and then we'll show you what everything looks like. I've temporarily put the wheels in place just so it'll be easier to take them off, and then we can paint them separately, because I do plan on doing a different type of paint scheme on this. And I've just fitted this together, didn't put any glue on it yet, because we're not going to leave the wheels on. I don't want to leave this. I'm afraid that it's going to break, because this is a very thin connection point here that I might even drill it out and put like a metal pin in it, just so we don't have any time later on that the thing will crack on it. But you can see it wants to put a lot of stress right in that middle portion. But kit overall is very, very nice, goes together well. The grand total of workmanship probably took about 5 hours, and that's mainly from sanding and fitting and doing all the other stuff. So 5 hours is pretty good, especially for a kit of this size. Now, we haven't put the pads on yet, which will make it even a little bit larger. But like I said, I want to paint those individually black. So I'm going to take the time right now, cut them all out, paint them, sand them, and then we're going to put them on tape so we can paint them black separately. And what we'll do next then, since we've got this all ready to go, break it down again and do all of our black and white technique on it, shadow coat. And we'll start that right now. So I have all the parts sanded and finished off, all ready to paint. I have all these little pads for the wheels glued separate, or not glued on separately, so we can paint those and then paint all this later. Also, one other thing I forgot to tell you, I left off the shrouds off of here because I just thought it'd be easier to paint, and then we could actually do all the weathering on that as well. So these are going to get painted body color down here. And as for painting, a couple days ago I was playing with my Iwata airbrush and completely destroyed it. So I have a brand new airbrush that I just got in just about an hour ago. So it's an Eclipse HPCS. I love the Iwata brushes. They do such a good job on it. So this will be the brush now. So when everyone asks me the question what kind of airbrush I use, going forward, the Iwata HPCS will be the one that happens. So now it's going to be my first trial on it, breaking it in, and we're going to paint the entire model, everything here, all with the NATO black. So we completely painted the entire model with the black coat and then went over with white to do our highlight effect. What I've done here is I've taken my Mission Models paint, the red oxide, not the primer, the actual real paint of the red oxide. And what I like to do with that paint, especially if I'm going to be doing a large vehicle, which this clearly is, it has a lot of paint surfaces. I mixed up a bottle of it already with 20% of the thinner and 10% of the poly, approximately now. And I have it all shaked up, and it's about up to here, so I have plenty of extra paint ready to go at a moment's notice. Nothing worse than running out of paint in the middle of a project that's not thinned or ready to go and then trying to mix it on the go. So I like doing it in these separate bottles, especially like I said when you're doing a big project. So we're going to take our brush and do the entire vehicle in the red oxide. You'll notice as I start to add the paint on that I'm not doing it in very, very heavy coats. We want a lot of the black and white technique to show through. I mean, that's why we spent all the extra time putting that on. And as you see, as we get closer to the end of this little clip, you'll notice that you can still see a lot of tonal variations in the paint. The paint is laying down very, very smoothly. No problems at all with that. Just like all the other Mission Models paints, does a very good job. And like I said, I was very happy earlier to get the red oxide primer. That way we have a color match sample and we don't have to end up mixing it ourselves. And it's also nice that if you run out of paint, you can just grab the bottle again because it's going to be the same color, not trying to mix it. So what I've done now is I've started to seal the entire model with the dull coat. That's going to protect our paint job so when we do our weathering. And I also just temporarily put it together just to show you guys size and put a little 35th scale guy up on top just to see how massive this vehicle is. One thing I want to talk to you guys about this kit as well is the type of parts that are inside of it. And I'm a big sci-fi guy, and after looking at all the parts that come inside of it, I've been planning on doing a big, large scale, kind of like what they did originally in Star Wars. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but in the 70s, when they made Star Wars, the model makers at ILM would literally walk into a hobby shop back then and just buy tons and tons of models from Tamiya, Hasegawa, anything they could find on the shelf, and just take all the parts and kind of just start putting them together. And that's how we ended up with the Millennium Falcon and the Star Destroyers and all those other models. So I've been planning on doing a really large scale spaceship, for lack of a better word, or some of the smaller scale ones as well. And the parts, this just screams sci-fi model. I was taking a few of these pieces before it was painted and everything, putting them together, and you just had all kinds of variations of spaceship, things like that I just thought would be really, really cool to do. So I'm actually going to take a second set of this and take the parts and kind of just play around with them and see what I can come up with. But I wanted to talk to you guys about that because it's just got so many possibilities for doing, you know, sci-fi. I even thought about that if you even take half of this, this could be some kind of like, you know, land vehicle that would hold space marines or anything like that. Just weird stuff like that, especially with the giant tires. Just a very cool vehicle. Now that we've got all this paint on and we've sealed it in, we're going to go over it with some weathering now and lightly just, you know, put a little grease and grime on some of the areas. We're also going to paint the hydraulic rams on side. These should be like a chrome color because it is a piston on it. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Oh, one other thing too, when you're about to put this together, make sure that you put something in front and in back of this vehicle, because I almost had a major accident trying to move this around. I picked up the box not thinking about that, and the thing almost rolled off, and I caught it luckily, so nothing broke on it. But definitely put some wheel chocks in the front and back if you're gonna move it around like that. For the final little bit of weathering, we're going to use Tamiya's black panel line wash. And we're going to start to apply it to all the little rivet heads and bolt heads, things like that. And the way it goes on with this super fine brush that Tamiya includes with it, we're just going to put a little dab basically on top of each rivet head, as you can see me doing right here. And it's alright if a little of it flows over the top. This is an enamel product, and we've completely sealed the vehicle, like I told you earlier, with Tamiya's lacquer clear coat. So that's completely sealed in all of the paint job and stuff. So this stuff will basically be sitting right on top of it for a while. And we'll go around and fill in all the panels, all around all the hatches, things like that. Also all the little rivet heads and nuts and bolts that hold on all the hatches. And like I said, it's a little thick right now, but you'll see what we're going to do with it after it dries for a little while. Now that the stuff has had a little chance to set up, we're going to take a cotton swab dipped in enamel thinner and just lightly go over the top. And what this is going to do, this is going to remove the excess that was floating around out there, but still leave all of the dark wash inside all of the little bolt heads, things like that. So it takes a little bit of time, but go over it back and forth, and you'll get a nice effect out of it. So here we are. Here's our final built model. Went together wonderfully. Like I was telling you, the only problem we had to do any filling was just those two little corner pieces, and it was very, very minor. It only took a couple of minutes just to fill it in. part count is very low on this kit, so it's something that can be done in just a matter of a couple days. I did go ahead, and hopefully you can see it from here pretty well. I painted these chrome silver for the pistons for the hydraulic rams. I also went ahead and just did a little bit of rust effect on top of all the tailpipes that are coming out of each one of the units. Kind of blends in a little bit unless you get up really close because of the red oxide primer that's on the entire vehicle. I'm going to give you a couple of different view angles. It's way too large to put on top of my turntable to spin it around. One thing you will notice too that a lot of people didn't realize right off the top is that the front wheels, or the front on this side at least, are sticking out way wider than these wheels back here. And that was to clear a path as it was going down that would cleave like a 4-foot path on either side of the vehicle for clearing mines rather than just one narrow path. It is a little fragile in this middle joint right here, and I was trying to figure out a way, so as long as you grab it by both sides you won't have any problem with it breaking, but I would definitely avoid trying to pick it up by one side. There's just not a lot of meat in the middle here. I did put a little extra super glue and used some plastic cement, Tamiya plastic cement, and it's holding pretty well, and as long as it just sits there it'll be okay. I just couldn't figure out a way to get any type of metal rod in there because the way it's set up in there, when you actually build the kit, you'll see what I'm talking about. But overall, it's not too bad. But a great kit overall. I was very happy to see it come out. A little something different rather than just the typical German armor that's coming out constantly. Now, there are quite a few other paint jobs that are available inside of this. I liked the red oxide primer because it just looks so different than anything else we've done before. So. And like I said, I am so excited about this kit. Won't be right away because I'm still kind of planning it out, but be on the watch for some other videos of some sci-fi spaceships, some handmade ones. These parts are going to really turn up really well doing some kind of spaceship. And I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but I know that there's a couple of spaceships that are going to come out of this other kit. So I want to thank you as always for watching. I appreciate it, and please stay tuned because we have more model kits coming.